tell you where you can find Hellyer, and then you guys can go on your merry way and try and get some sleep. So,
sleep? What's that?
Yeah. It's Monday, February 11th, Tuesday, February 12th, if you're on the East Coast, across the pond, or down under. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North, on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including digitally on Deep Talk Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot. Go shopping right now at our Spaced Out Radio store. T-shirts, hats, bags, socks. We got it. And you can read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire and so much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel Insuho, where we have Sebastian Martin bringing tons of high-quality messages to the masses. Head to our website, click on the Insuho banner, and subscribe today. Greg and Dana Newkirk are part of a new YouTube series called Hellier. It's a 5-part series that you can pull up, and I can honestly say after catching it about a week ago, it's very impressive. It's a weird story that involves mystery emails, ciphers, codes, and a very strange path that takes them on a years-long quest, ending up in Hellier, Kentucky, a quaint little town where the people know there's something strange going on in the hills, but don't really want to talk about it. It involves old mining caves, UFO sightings, and these goblin-like creatures that just don't make sense. Involving friends Karl Pfeiffer, who will be a guest on the show next month, and Connor James Randall, the four start out on this adventure of mystery that leads to dead end after dead end, yet the story continues. To learn more about this series, you could go to hellier.tv. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, we have Olaf Phillips back from Paranoia Magazine for the SOR Newswire. Greg and Dana Newkirk, it's been a couple of years since I've got to speak with you. Very excited to have you on Spaced Out Radio for the first time. How are you?
We are fantastic. Very happy to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Now, for our audience, you guys and me, we met actually a couple years ago at a Paracon in Provincetown, Massachusetts. Beautiful area, great event. You guys were the first presenters of the night, and, you know, I think we'll grind our teeth on the rest of the compliments to that event. But nonetheless, it was... Yeah, it was a lot of fun and in a beautiful area, and I got to chat with you guys and see these mystery items, these haunted items that you guys brought with you. And I have to say, one of my memories in regards to looking at all your really cool stuff was you had this black curtained out area with a mirror that you saw yourself disappear in, and it freaked me out. Freaked me out.
That was our portable psychomantium for use with the dark mirror, is what we've nicknamed it. It was a mirror that was given to us by a woman who got it at a psychic fair several years ago here in Columbus, Ohio, and she would see nothing but terrible things in it when she was using it to scry, to try and divine the future. And because of that, her daughter took it away from her because it was ruining her life. She was becoming withdrawn from her family members. Her attitude had changed, and she was obsessed with it. She would sit in a closet for hours at a time staring into it. And so she gave it to us. And she said, do whatever you want with it. Destroy it. Study it. I don't care, but my mom can't have it. And I don't know. How many people would you say have looked in that thing now, Dana?
Easily thousands of people.
Thousands.
Yeah.
And almost all of them have seen something fairly frightening.
Well, I got to say, for anybody, especially on the East Coast or central part of the United States and Canada, if you get a chance to meet up with Greg and Dana Newkirk at any event wherever they are, go speak with them. They are real down-home type people, want to talk about these subjects, and really, really cool people. Highly recommend you guys getting involved with this. Now, let's learn a little bit about you guys, because, Dana, you're from Canada, so you're one of us flying the maple leaf in the United States. Thank you for that. We're hoping your Canadian accent comes back tonight. But Greg, you're from the United States. How did you guys meet in the world of paranormal to become one of the power couples of this genre?
Oh, God. I don't think we have enough time on the show for that story. We'll give you the abridged version. We hated each other. We ran rival ghost hunting websites when we were just kids. Dana had the girly ghost hunters up in Toronto, and I had Ghost Hunters Incorporated in northeastern Pennsylvania, and we were an all-boy team, and they were an all-girl team. And we got along really well. We would share tips and tricks and things like that on our crappy GeoCities websites. They were all left justified, and
lots of sparkling backgrounds and skeleton gifs, all that good stuff.
And then Dana and her team got a television show, and we were a bunch of butthurt boys who couldn't take it. So we decided we were going to be mean to them instead. And then we didn't talk for like 7 years because we recreated their whole website. We recreated their website with us in drag, and SEO bombed it. So when people went to go and find them, they found our website instead. They weren't very happy about it.
Now we're married.
That's awesome. Romanticism through the paranormal. Hatred always turns that way, indeed. Now, Greg, did you have experiences your entire life? What turned you on to making your life dedicated to investigating all realms of the paranormal?
I'm not one of those guys who had ghosts visiting him in his crib like most paranormal people. My stuff, it was to complete total accident. My friends and I, I watched a lot of X-Files and Buffy and Unsolved Mysteries and stuff like that growing up. And I always had an interest, but I'd never had an experience until my friends and I decided to take one of my friends, Nick. We all set up an event in a cemetery where we scared the crap out of him with a fake ghost. And we had so much fun. We said, let's go to a real cemetery and let's just see what it's like. And when stuff started to happen that wasn't us trying to prank one of our friends, we realized, oh my God, monsters might be real. And after that, it was hitting the library and reading books by Hans Holzer and the Warrens and all that kind of stuff until we formed Ghost Hunters Incorporated. And that's what I did when I was a kid. When I was like 13, 14 years old, I was sneaking out of the house every night, going and looking for ghosts.
Nice. And Dana, one of the things that I know about being up here in Canada is the topic of the paranormal, even though it's been around for a long, long time, obviously, is still very taboo. And people don't like to talk about it. Canadians are very reserved when it comes to this topic. Now, you are an intuitive as well, I believe, because I know you read tarot cards as well. How did you get started in this entire field to know that this is where you wanted to dedicate your life?
I think that I was always interested in the paranormal, and I've obviously always been interested in the metaphysical kind of studies and the occult. And so for me, it just sort of happened kind of naturally. But because there isn't quite as much stuff happening in Canada as far as the paranormal goes, my friends and I just sort of had to make our own, because there wasn't events to go to, and there wasn't places to go and investigate and with groups and stuff like that. So we thought, okay, well, let's just start our own group. And this was, back in 2000, 2001. And so, yeah, ours was sort of similar to Greg's, where we just sort of started reading everything that we possibly could and started, doing that very awkward thing where you have to like phone a place and ask them, do you have a ghost in your building? And would you mind if we came in and investigated it? And, most of the people that we would talk to on the other end of the phone would hang up on us, or you could hear their eyeballs rolling in their head. But like 1 out of every 10 would say, yeah, absolutely, we've got some weird stuff happening here. Like, it'd be really cool if you guys wanted to come and check it out. So we just sort of started that way, really just paving our own road because there wasn't one already there for us.
And now you look at it, and it's funny because I don't know what it's like in Ontario regarding that these days, but up here in British Columbia where I am, there's only a handful of groups doing this. And most of those are banked in the Vancouver area. But I mean, you go into a lot of these more remote places, you have up here a ton of virgin territory across this country that would be a ghost hunter's delight if they ever figured out that this was a place to go, because there are people and things everywhere around here, and that's what I love about being up here. But we have a mutual good friend, John Tenney, who comes on this show every 2 months, and you guys are very much closer to him than what we are. And
that's just what people think.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a good thing. Or
not. Well, Greg, I am going to say I've seen you on video numerous times, and you seem to be keeping up with the tie collection of John's, which is always nice. Always nice. But
true. He convinced me that I should dress a little bit nicer, be taken a little bit more seriously. So yeah, John's like dad, kind of, or grandpa.
Exactly. And one of the reason why I bring up John is not only is he a good friend of ours on this show and to our listeners, but he's a good friend of you two as well. And the one thing that I admire about him and you guys is when we say the word paranormal, we aren't talking just about ghosts. We're using it as a very big umbrella term to everything that is going on, Greg. And I'm wondering, when you look at the word paranormal, why have you guys been able to expand it to everything that is encountered, whether it's Bigfoot, UFOs, goblins, and not just ghosts?
I think that it's important to. I think, it wasn't always that way. Dana and I, quite obviously, hearing our backstories, we came from ghosts. That's what we were interested in. But eventually we realized there's more to this weird world, and we should investigate it. If we really want to know what's going on, if we want to try and get an idea of what's going on, you have to know a little bit of everything. And I think one of the biggest problems that we have in the paranormal community is the fact that everybody segregates themselves. The Bigfoot hunters don't want to share information with ghost hunters. The ghost hunters don't talk to ufologists. None of them talk to witches. There's all kinds of different things that they just segregate themselves from, because I think, for one, it's always nice to have somebody else to poop on. So, like, yeah, I might investigate Bigfoot, but at least I don't believe in ghosts, that type of thing. If these people would spend more time investigating with each other and sharing information, they'd realize we're probably all investigating some aspects of the same big weird thing. So when I think about the word paranormal, I think that should be fully encompassing. I think it's really important that we investigate all aspects of the unexplained if we're ever going to get any answers.
And Dana, I want you to chime in here in regards to that, because, as Greg said, there's a lot of segregation that goes on in this field. And really, if you look at it, I'm a firm believer after the last few years of doing this, that there has to be some invisible thread that sews and combines everything together in regards to this topic of the paranormal. Have you noticed that as well, that there is some sort of cross-pollination with evidence and instances that happen, that maybe the reason why we're not finding answers or not being taken seriously is because we aren't combining everything that goes on?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the first things that kind of pops into my head is a few years ago when we were filming an episode of Finding Bigfoot. And, again, Greg and I have this kind of background where we come from ghost hunting. It's our wheelhouse. We're really comfortable in that space, and we know that space. And so, we're out in the field investigating in Mount Shasta, and a lot of things started to happen that the crew kind of just were shrugging off. And they were things like, all of their batteries were being drained, and they were having camera malfunctions, and they were having a lot of things that we as ghost hunters are really familiar with when it comes to that type of activity. But for a Bigfoot investigator, they wouldn't really think anything of it. But it was to a degree where it wasn't coincidental. It was very strange. There was enough of this stuff happening. And that was one of the first moments, I think, for Greg and I, where we looked at each other and started to really kind of think about the idea that there's so much similarity between the phenomena, and kind of, again, segregating yourself stops you from potentially understanding the phenomena and making those connections and putting those puzzle pieces together. So it is really important, as much as you possibly can, to kind of embrace all aspects of the weird.
It very much is. And, that has led you guys down a lot of real crooked paths that are just phenomenal in today's experiences. And there are a lot of people out there who say, really, this is true? Before we start getting into Hellyer at the bottom of the hour here, Greg, is there a certain case outside of Hellyer that just makes you scratch your head, that you just don't understand what is going on?
I mean, from our cases, one of the things that we do, we run the Traveling Museum of the Paranormal and the Occult, and we have all kinds of artifacts that people have given to us, or we've gotten from cases that we've worked on. And I mean, there's at least half a dozen things off the top of my head that are constantly works in progress, different artifacts. There's an artifact that we got a couple of years ago, the guy called Hatred, and it was this strange effigy that something in the woods of Indiana compelled him to create. And after he created it, he wasn't compelled to go to the woods to speak to this thing and commune with this thing anymore. He just had this telephone to it that sat in his house. And we still haven't figured out what to do with that. I mean, there's artifacts that take us, 3, 4, 5 years to realize, oh, this is what it needs, or this is what it wants, or this is what we have to do to finish this case and to close the chapter on that. And so, our lives are just filled with things that we don't have the answers to. But, after doing this for 20 years, you just kind of come to terms with that. That's just how it's going to be. Some things are never going to be solved.
And how about for you, Dana? Do you have a story that has really kind of withstood the test of time for yourself in regards to your own history in the paranormal?
I honestly, as kind of cliche as it sounds, I think that they all do to a degree. Like we've been on investigations where we've really felt that we've kind of, cracked the case, where we're like, yeah, we know what's going on here. And then, a month or two later, it's nothing like we thought it was going to be. So there's a lot of that type of stuff that I think happens, but I think that at this point, I think, again, like Greg said, I think we're just kind of comfortable with it. We understand that that's the nature of the phenomenon. Sometimes you're not going to have answers, at least right now. You potentially might have answers in 10 years, but you kind of just have to be okay with that every once in a while. And I think once you become okay with it, it makes you a better investigator, I think, because you're kind of more willing to realize that sometimes you don't get all the answers right up front, and you kind of have to stick with something for a long period of time.
Do either of you get scared anymore with everything you've experienced, everything you've investigated? Does anything scare you guys?
I am the world's biggest chicken, so don't let me fool you. I'm constantly scared. I'm usually the first person to, want to run out of a situation. But I think that's mostly because I've not stopped kind of being super passionate and excited about the activity that's happening around us. But yeah, I'm definitely a big chicken.
I'm just scared of having children.
People can be the scariest
people
part
are
of
scarier.
paranormal.
Yeah, for real. I've had more scary experiences dealing with clients and dealing with people involved in cases than I ever have with any kind of supernatural brush.
So when you guys are building your case files and somebody contacts you and says, hey, I have a haunted item that I want to check out, or I have, this strange happening on my property, or that's keeping my children up at night, Dana, take us through the reaction of what you guys go through on a nightly basis when that call or that email comes in.
Usually what we like to do is try to upfront get as much information as we possibly can. So if it's like an object, for instance, we constantly have clients give us as much information as they possibly can remember about the object specifically. Even mundane things, because you never know, at some point it could be something very important that will, crack the case, so to speak. So usually it's a bit of a checklist. It's kind of boring, but we have a checklist of things that we kind of go through. Like, we love to have the clients give us photographs of the objects before we receive them, because just kind of keeping track of what something looks like sometimes is even part of the investigation. So it's a lot of that, and a lot of, really looking into the person and making sure that, in the case of, someone having activity happening in their home or around them, it sucks, but sometimes we have to ask them, had you have a history of mental illness? Do you have that happening in your family? Just making sure that we can kind of tick all the boxes so that by the time that we even begin the investigation, we're pretty confident that there's legitimately something going on there.
Greg and Dana Newkirk are with us tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to be talking Hellyer after the break. Now, Greg, when you have that phone call come in, how important is it to do that background check of the area, of the person that you're getting involved with? Because there's a lot of people who want that 15 minutes of fame. There's a lot of people who want their name tied to absolutely everything that is going on with the paranormal. They want that story told. They want that conversation piece. How do you decide that you are having something real happening in phenomena, or that it is just somebody who is searching for a little bit of fame?
I think one of the easiest ways, and this isn't always the case, but I would say most of the people who contact us want to remain anonymous. Mm-hmm. Most of the people don't want people to know what's going on because they're afraid of what people are going to think. We've learned the hard way a few times with people who've contacted us with a haunted item that they claimed was haunted, and only to study it for a while, and then they ask for it back. And then after they've asked for it back, it's had a little bit of notoriety, and they put it on eBay and made like $5,000 off of it. That's something that's becoming more and more common. The more popular the museum becomes, the more stuff that Dana and I do in the public eye. That's an actual issue that we have to worry about now. So, there's certain rules that we have to have in place. So if somebody has an artifact and they are having trouble with it, if they give it to us, it stays with us. That's really the way that it goes. They have to sign paperwork. It's hugely important to get a good read on the person that you're dealing with. And honestly, I have to say that's few and far between. Mm-hmm. Most people are genuinely, they just need help, and they don't need anything else other than help. And that's what we want to do.
And I guess that's very important with 30 seconds to go before we got to go to break, Dana. It's very important in order to try and get people to understand that this isn't a game for you guys. This is reality. This is your life. This is what you deal with, and not to try and take advantage of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why that checklist is sort of in place, to make sure that we can kind of weed out people who are just looking for, a notoriety or attention versus people who legitimately need help.
Absolutely. And on that note, we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, Greg Newkirk, Dana Newkirk. They are two of the top paranormal investigators that are right now riding the waves of the paranormal. If it's UFOs, Bigfoot, goblins, ghosts, they don't care. They're going in to investigate. And Greg will have a nice tie to go along with it. If you want to check out Hellyer, their new series on YouTube, you can go to YouTube, just type it in, or go to Hellyer.tv. We're going to be talking Hellyer right after this when we come back.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger and Dave Scott, the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything is an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hi, George Norrie here. Are you ready for UFO MegaCon, the immersion event? 7 days, 8 nights, 50 new speakers, UFO military witnesses, experiencer groups, skywatches, and so much more. Join me at UFO MegaCon, March 24th through the 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only new information conference of the year. Now check it out at UFOMegaCon.com. That's UFOMegaCon.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Reminder to all of you that while you're listening to this show, you can head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, click on the shop banner, and go pick yourself up a T-shirt, a hat, a hoodie, toque, socks, whatever you may need. We got it for you. Lots of selection on there, too. So make sure you head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and go shopping tonight while you are hanging out with us. Tonight we are talking with Greg and Dana Newkirk. They have a new series along with Connor Randall and Karl Pfeiffer called Hellyer. It can be found on YouTube. It is completely free for you guys to check out. The website is hellier.tv. And Dana and Greg, welcome back to the show.
Thanks
for having us. I got to tell you, Dana actually fist pumped when she heard the word toque.
I was very excited about toque.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, beanies. You know what?
Yes, exactly.
You know, with 72% of our audience in the United States, I always forget about saying beanie instead of toque and Fahrenheit instead of Celsius. So
hey, Dana still does not know Fahrenheit.
Not figured that one out yet.
No, I haven't figured. I've almost got it, but yeah.
I can totally relate to that.
Perfect. Now, Hellyer, this once again, I saw this about 8-9 days ago now. And I took 2 days to watch this only because my wife fell asleep on the first part after episode 2. And then we caught 3, 4, and 5 on the Sunday. This story absolutely had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. And I highly suggest everybody to go out there and watch Hellyer. It is absolutely incredible. And Greg, if you could take us to the start, because this story actually starts a number of years ago with a real cryptic type email.
Yeah, about 7 years ago, was living in Canada. I was going through Canadian immigration, and I got an email to an old, the group I mentioned earlier, my old teenage ghost hunting group, Ghost Hunters Incorporated. An email comes in, and it had the headline, urgent, need help, please respond. And we never got emails there. The group had been defunct for years. really the impression that the website gave was not one of confidence in our paranormal investigations skills. So it was a bunch of teenagers with medieval weapons and torches and things like that on the front page. And I'll just put it this way. People rarely ever contacted us for help back then. So I was initially skeptical, but, with a headline like that, I clicked it and started reading it. And it was this guy who claimed that he was from Hellier, Kentucky. And his name was David. And he was dealing with a very peculiar problem where these little creatures that he believed were extraterrestrial in nature were coming out of a mine shaft on the edge of his property and terrorizing his family. They were tapping on his family's windows at night, scaring his children. His children said that they looked like naked kids that were bald like grandpa, and really scaring him. And he wanted our help because a mutual acquaintance, he said, told him that we were well equipped to handle problems like this, which absolutely not true. Never read a goblin hunting manual, had no idea what any of this was about. And I thought it was one of my friends putting us on. I thought it was just somebody having some fun with us. So I did what I normally do with emails like this. I responded, and I was respectful, but I asked for more information. And didn't expect to hear anything back. But sure enough, the guy wrote back a couple times and ended up sharing photographs of these entities and these three-toed footprints. And that's kind of when Dana and I looked at each other and said, wow, maybe there is something really going on here. And it just kind of spiraled out of control from there.
Dana, when you saw Greg bring up those emails, and were you kind of like, what the hell is this all about? What is going on here? Like, it just didn't seem to make sense.
Yeah, I was initially very, very skeptical about everything, and really kind of, Greg was really excited, and I just sort of remember saying, like, it's probably just someone messing with us. The circumstance behind the whole thing was very weird. The email account that, everything was weird, and it wasn't really until we got the photos that I started to think, okay, something legitimately strange is probably going on here. Like, this is, it's gone from being kind of someone just trying to pull our chain, and now it sort of feels like we're kind of wading into real territory.
Well, and what made that feel even more strong was we started sharing this information with our friends. We were posting these pictures and details from these emails on our Facebook pages, just because we have a lot of friends who are paranormal investigators, and there's a lot of friends who are experts at stuff that we're not experts at. And the Bigfoot hunters in particular were of particular help because they were the ones who pointed out that the footprints had dermal ridges on them. And we're not Bigfoot hunters. I have no idea what those were at the time. But they're very hard to fake. They are basically like fingerprints for your foot, for the bottom of your foot. And it's something that Bigfoot hunters take a lot of stock in when they go and find prints and whether they're real or not. And so that made us even more interested. And people kept egging us on, like, you need to keep looking into this because I think this has probably got some truth behind it.
So you guys decide that you guys are going to go down this rabbit hole and kind of play this game, Greg, about what is going on here. And you start trying to get a hold of this gentleman who seems to start getting more cryptic and cryptic with his information. At any point when you started getting the stranger emails after the photographs, which were strange indeed, it could be viewed on Hellyer, did you figure that you were still being played, or what kept the curiosity going on your end?
I mean, honestly, the idea of the photographs was the one thing that kept drawing me back because, the photographs of the creatures themselves are typically paranormal. Like, they're very blurry, out of focus. Like, you can't really tell what they are. You can kind of see they look a little bit like gray aliens. But the footprints themselves, they were just so stunning. And everyone we showed them to thought they were stunning. Naturalists were saying, I mean, they look real to me. I don't know what they are, though. So that always felt like this piece of really tangible evidence. That's the hardest thing with any paranormal investigation, is finding anything that's really tangible. And I mean, there they were. So that kept me going. The problem was David disappeared. And I mean, we were stuck anyway. I was going through Canadian immigration. For people who've never been through an immigration process, once you're in a country and you file that paperwork, you can't leave the country until it's processed. If you do, you have to file it all over again. You have to pay the $2,000-$3,000, get the lawyer, whatever it is, and do the whole process again. So I'd never been to Kentucky before. I had no idea what I was going to get into. I wasn't able to go down there right away anyway. So there were all these weird factors with the case, that a lot of false starts. This guy wouldn't tell me exactly where he lived. That was the other weird thing. He wouldn't tell me exactly where he lived. And then once he disappeared, it was almost a year later, I think, that these other emails came in from our quote unquote mutual acquaintance, who went by the username Terry R. Wrist. Not a real name, pretty obviously not a real name. And those were the really cryptic ones where, I mean, everything about them, there were misspellings in the emails. They were saying that
the font was weird.
Font was weird. Mm-hmm. Saying like, I have something for you 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
And he had mentioned this guy in his previous emails, and the only reference we could find to him was in a very obscure old book from the 90s by a guy by the name of Alan Greenfield, who was a ufologist and a ritual magician, ceremonial magician. And he interviews this guy, Terry Wrist, in the back of the book, Secret Cipher of the Ufonauts. And this guy talks about cave-dwelling creatures and using this secret cipher to contact them, to speak with ultra-terrestrials and things like that. So even though we've always maintained, I think, a healthy level of skepticism about this case, it felt like a puzzle.
Yeah.
So it was, no matter what, there were pieces, tangible pieces, whether it was the fact that there was an interview with this guy, Terry Wrist, in the back of this book. There were connections to bigger cases, or the fact that there was these photographs of these footprints, tangible things. It felt like putting a puzzle together, and that really kept us invested, even when it felt like a dead end.
Dana, when you started seeing these emails, first from the doctor who claimed that all of this activity was happening, then you get the footprints, and then all of a sudden this Terry R. Wrist appears a year later. Did you think that somebody was playing you, that maybe this was, as fun as it's and as cryptic as it was, a little bit of cloak and dagger always brings out the intrigue, but did you ever kind of sit back and have a conversation with Greg and basically say, something about this doesn't feel safe? It's like we're being played into something that we have no clue.
Yeah, I mean, it felt, again, the kind of cryptic nature of the emails weirded us out, but we finally got to this point where we received some numbers, and at first we couldn't really tell what they were. I think that initially we thought they were credit card numbers, but they were actually coordinates to a location that we had been a month before that. So that changed everything then at that moment, because it hadn't been a place that we were, actively telling people that we were going to. So no one really should have known that we were there. So for some completely random person to send us the exact coordinates to the area that we were, a month before that, it suddenly stops being like fun, and it's now really creepy because no one should know this information. And that was a big game changer for us. Like, we were really weirded out by that.
Yeah, maybe get into that a little bit further, because at certain points when you guys decided that this was Hellyer, Kentucky, that you had to go to, how did you get to that point? And at any point, did you feel like you were almost being followed?
So it was 2013, just to take a step back. 2013, we decided that we were going to shoot a documentary series, and we were calling it Planet Weird. And the concept was just like, we're going to do weird stuff. We're going to engage the strange. And one of the things that was the focus of one of the episodes was we wanted to try and get abducted by aliens. And so we thought, let's go to oh yeah, of course. Who wouldn't want to do that? Spend a weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
So we looked at different candidates for places where people have been abducted or had close encounters, and we decided Brown Mountain would be a really great place to go because people see the strange lights. There's the story of Ralph Lale, who was taken to Venus, I think. All of these strange stories around the area. It seemed like a really good place. So we met up with a friend of ours, Micah Hanks, and he took us out to the mountain because he lives in the area. And while we were just kind of hanging out, waiting to see the lights, seeing the sights, he said, just randomly, I've heard this story that there might be this underground cave base here. And it was very tongue in cheek. And we had a whole day to kill. So we thought, well, yeah, let's go look for it. He's like, all right, let's go. And we started to think about this story about Hellyer and this guy, Terry Rist, who was in the back of this book talking about going into alien cave bases and cleaning them out. And one of them happened to be on Brown Mountain. So to us, it seemed significant that we were there. Why not? Let's go. Let's see if we can find the entrance to this cave. We found the cave. It was odd. There was definitely like a slab in front of it. We couldn't get any further behind it. And that was pretty much that. We saw the Brown Mountain lights, didn't get abducted by aliens. Spoiler, sorry. And at least that we know of. And then we went and we did the rest of the shoot. We hung out with vampires. We tried to find a fountain of youth, all kinds of that stuff. So it wasn't until like a month later that we were back home and we got this set of coordinates. I mean, the first email that came in said, I have something for you. Why'd you stop when you were so close? I have something for you 1 week. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever, crank emails. Then a week later, sure enough, on the dot comes this other email that said Hellyer was a symptom. The door is closed, the window is open, use the numbers. And there was this long string of numbers. It was in a photograph, and we posted the numbers on just like everything else, we posted it on Facebook, and one of our friends was like, oh, it's a credit card number. And so I was like, oh, crap. So I had to take it down because I didn't want, if it was a stolen credit card or whatever, I didn't want that information just floating out there. But then we realized later, one of our friends pointed out, that's not a credit card number. It didn't go to any bank. It was actually a set of GPS coordinates. And those GPS coordinates went to Brown Mountain. And that email sent cold chills down our spines because somebody knew that we were in Brown Mountain. And they said, why did you stop when you were so close? And it had a clear connection to Hellyer, this case that we had just kind of left on the back burner because we didn't have a good way to get where it was. That's when things took a strange turn. And that's when we realized, all right, well, at some point we have to get there. And then those emails stopped. I never got any responses from it. And it took us 2 years before we were able to actually get boots on the ground in Hellyer. And it was only because we had gotten jobs in Cincinnati. And so after all the immigration crap, we came down, and then Dana went through American immigration, and we had these jobs, and we realized, hey, we're only a few hours from Hellyer. We haven't heard anything about this. Let's just go and see if something's going on there. Let's see if this was a crank. Does this look like a place where this could have happened? And we just drove out and started asking around.
Greg and Dana Newkirk are our guests tonight. We are talking about Hellyer, the YouTube series that you can check out. Go to hellyer.tv if you want more information about these fantastic episodes. Dana, at the time when you were getting this email, basically say you guys were so close, to me, if I'm going through this, I'm thinking I am being followed. I'm thinking that I have eyes watching me, which makes me very uncomfortable in thinking whether somebody has tapped into my computer, my email, my Facebook account, whatever it may be, because this person would have had no clue that you were going up there at this point and had been so secretive about absolutely everything. At that point, do you just kind of sit back and say, this is not really what I'm looking for? Or does it fire you up the other way saying, I got to know what's going on now?
I think you go through both of those experiences. I think initially it's, you're really uncomfortable and it feels like a huge invasion of privacy. You're like, how does this person know this information? are they following, like you said, are they in our email? Did they figure out how to get into our Facebook? Like, what's going on? And then I think a period of time goes by where you kind of get a little like angry, and you're like, all right, well, fine. Like, I want to know how this is possible, and I want to dig in even more than we already have. So I think it's kind of a mixture of both of those two reactions.
So when you are going through those reactions, I mean, there is a reality to this. The paranormal investigators, like, this is what we've been waiting for our entire lives. This is what we've been searching for. Maybe this has some answers. But there's a human side to it as well.
Yeah.
And I'm very interested, Dana, in that human side that you were going through, because I'll be honest, I would be having the crap scared out of me if I'm getting emails like that and then disappearing.
Yeah,
I'd be watching every vehicle that passes in front of my house.
Your paranoia level goes all the way up to 11. And you start looking for synchronicities. You start looking for things that are happening that seem to be happening too often. Like, how many times have I seen, a red pickup truck, or how many times have I seen the same looking type of person, or is that person looking at me too much? Your brain just sort of starts to spiral a little bit out of control.
Is one of my friends that knew where we were?
Exactly.
Are they doing something to us? And we're paranoid people already, so good Lord. Forget about it.
Yeah, but you have to be in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You have to be a little bit on edge, because I know, like, with my anxiety, I go into a place that's haunted or there's some weird stuff going on. I feel like I'm in tune on what's going on. Is that what you guys feel as well when you're on location anywhere, that you could feel the eyes on you no matter what it is?
I think we've developed a kind of spidey sense at this point. Almost, it's like an intuitive kind of feeling about locations and even about people, and yeah, you get like a real kind of sense for it.
Were you surprised at the cryptic signs of everything, Greg? As we got about 90 seconds before we got to go to break at the top of the hour, the cryptic signs, that it didn't make sense why it would be so encoded to me as a viewer. I didn't get that.
It didn't make sense to me either. Not until later. I mean, one of the things that we started to realize is the way that these emails were worded were very close to the type of letters that John Keel was getting back in the day from a group he called the International Bankers, who were trying to dissuade him from investigation. So I don't know if someone was taking inspiration from that, or if they were related to that somehow. But they were cryptic on purpose, which I think is interesting as it is.
No kidding. I would be a little bit freaked out as well. Thank goodness I don't get emails like that. I just get aliens staring out my window.
Oh, just that? Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I'll trade you.
Oh, yeah. Well, remind me one day. I'll tell you the story about Karl. Karl is a little... Actually, we'll get into it tonight, because there is a little bit of similarity between an experience you guys had in a cave on this case and what I've actually had happen on my property. We're going to get into that. We are talking Hellyer with Greg and Dana Newkirk tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I highly suggest you check out this YouTube series. Go to their website, Hellier.tv. That's HELLIER.tv. You won't be disappointed. Don't watch it now. Finish the interview, then go watch it. We'll be back with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio next. Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Karl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi, George Norrie here. Are you ready for UFO MegaCon, the immersion event? 7 days, 8 nights, 50 new speakers, UFO military witnesses, experiencer groups, skywatches, and so much more. Join me at UFO MegaCon, March 24th through the 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only new information conference of the year. Now check it out at UFOMegaCon.com. That's UFOMegaCon.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the show, Dr. Robert Gross is going to join us. We're going to discuss the Kecksburg UFO incident. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back every one of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, including KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, 99.1 FM, WQEE in Noonan, Georgia, and of course UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, Louisiana, and of course digitally on Revolution Radio and Deep Talk Radio. Thanks so much for being with us. Don't forget, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Space Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Optophobia. Optophobia is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot. Go shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store. We'd love to see you walking around in a beanie, a toque, a hat, t-shirt, socks, whatever. We got it all. Go check it on out. And of course, all of our news provided by Captain Shirk, our news director at the SOR Newswire, and so much more. Tonight we are talking about the new YouTube series, Hellyer. It's a 5-part series that you can find and watch for free. The website is Hellyer.tv. Hellyer.tv. Greg and Dana Newkirk took part in this, and we welcome them to tonight's show. What a pleasure to have you guys here with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, Dave.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure to have both of you here. Now, in regards to Hellyer, when this started happening and you're getting all of these cryptic type emails that are coming in, and we talked about the weirdness that was surrounding them. Now, there was another year span before you guys decided to finally make your way into Kentucky. How did that happen, Dana?
It actually happened because of our friend Karl Pfeiffer. He experienced a really interesting synchronicity that had to do with Hellyer. And Greg had done a podcast. A friend of ours named Jim Perry has a podcast called Euphonet, and he did an episode about Hellyer and about our experiences with the emails and everything. And Karl was listening to that episode. And he shot Greg a text message just sort of saying like, hey, this is great. This is a cool story. And a couple minutes later, our Twitter account for Week in Weird auto-tweeted one of the Goblin articles. And Karl thought, oh, Greg must have done that. He was kind of taking advantage of everybody paying attention to the story right now. And it was actually totally random. So it was Karl's kind of first experience into the kind of the synchronicities that we've been experiencing quite a bit with this phenomena. And it was really that first moment that kind of pushed Karl into realizing, oh, I need to document this and we need to continue investigating this. And so Karl, was kind of the driving force behind.
He bullied us into it.
He did. He really did. And we went willingly.
And weird as we say that, because Karl just tweeted out that we're doing this show right now. So thank you, Karl, if you're listening in. So that's a little synchronicity right there in regards to Karl. So when you started going through this and you decided to make the turn to go towards Hellyer, Kentucky, Greg, explain that little town for us, because realistically, there isn't a lot there.
No, I mean, even calling it a town is a misnomer. It's really more of a holler. It's a very it's a depressed area. It was a part of the coal boom, and coal's not doing so hot there right now. There's really one main place where, like, the hub for the town, which is a gas station that serves as the restaurant, pizza joint, post office, grocery store. All of that is right there in the center of town, just outside of Hellyer proper. And that's where everybody meets. And there's a lot of hills and valleys, and a lot of the roads that are out there are only exist because they once went to mines. And so it's a desolate place. There's a highway that's been being built for the last several years that's literally being built to bypass the town, to go right over the town. So it's almost feels forgotten. There's no real reason for anyone to go to Hellyer. So you stick out like a sore thumb when you're not from there. Everybody there knows who lives there. But everyone was very friendly and very willing to help, even if they were a little bit standoffish, and probably didn't trust us very much.
Well, I mean, when strangers come in and start asking questions, you can only say that that's pretty obvious in a small town. I mean, that would happen in the town of 1800 that I live in as well, where everybody just kind of has an eye on what everybody is doing. So when you guys arrived there, you stop at the gas station because that's kind of the gathering place for everybody. Mm-hmm. What was the reaction like when you started asking some pretty strange questions?
Well, the first time we were there in 2015, just kind of going to see if this was something that could have happened in this area. I mean, we were pretty open. I mean, that's usually how I do this. I'll find a place that seems like it's the town hub, whether it's a diner or whatever, and I'll just start asking questions, because sometimes just putting it out on the table, that gets people intrigued enough than playing coy. So I took the photographs of the prints and the creatures, and I took them in, and I just started asking questions. Hey, have you ever heard of this guy, David Christie? Have you ever heard of anyone seeing footprints like this? Does weird stuff happen around here very often? And no one knew who David was. The surname Christie was outlandish to all of them. That wasn't any surname that they'd ever heard in the area. But weird stuff. People were talking about seeing UFOs floating over the town that were big as a football field. They talked about people coming to town telling them what you saw wasn't actually what you saw. People were talking about seeing Bigfoot. There were even people who had leads on three-toed footprints. So there was a lot of people that had all kinds of experiences at this place. Within half an hour, there were 24 people who were all telling us their stories. So that was great. That was fantastic, because we realized right away, oh, okay, so this is plausible. This could have happened here. We drove around looking at looking for what could have been David's house, and there were options. The creek was there where the footprints would have been taken. There were matches, and it was obvious that, okay, there could have been some truth to this. The second time we went back was a little bit different. It was strange. It was a completely different vibe. Mm-hmm. People were very standoffish. People were saying, no, nothing weird ever happens around here. I never heard of anything weird. It was like night and day. Mm-hmm. And it took us a while to get people to warm up. It was the strangest thing, because they'd say, nah, nothing weird ever happens around here. And then you talk to them for about 20 minutes, and they'd be like, well, there was one time this giant football field sized UFO floated over town, and we all just kind of stared at it, didn't know what it was. Or, there was the time that this guy, weird dude, he described basically a man in black, was standing outside of a cave, and he had old bag gold coins, like weird stuff like that. But it took him a while to get there. So I don't know what happened between the 2015 and 2017 that did a number on these people's memories. But once we got them warmed up, I mean, there was all kinds of weird stuff.
Do you think that maybe, Dana, when you and Greg went there the second time, after everybody was so open the first time, that maybe word got around? Because a lot of communities, they don't like outsiders asking questions. They don't want strangers investigating their town or their town secrets. Is that kind of how it felt?
Yeah, it really did feel like that. And the other thing, too, is the first time it was just Greg and I, and we were literally just kind of talking to people. And then the second time, we had camera equipment, and I think...
Oh, Dana didn't even get out of the car the first time.
Yeah.
I was wearing a wireless mic.
The vibe was a lot more hostile, I think, the second time that we went there.
Hostile.
A little. But, I mean, like, we were nervous. We were clearly not from there, and people knew that we weren't from there, and we were asking about weird things like goblins and aliens, and I think that they were very suspicious of what we were doing there. Mm-hmm. and I think maybe word had kind of spread around that maybe they didn't want people making fun of them, and maybe they thought that's what we were there for. We've had a lot of people from the area contact us afterwards to kind of say thank you for not making fun of us. And so, I think that maybe that was a bit of where that paranoia was coming from, too.
In hour 2 of the show, I always like to get to some audience questions that come in via the chat rooms and on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. And we're going to head to New Zealand here, where Renee has a couple of questions for you. She has now seen the series, and she has a couple of questions. And one of them is there going to be a continuation with further information in regards to this series?
I think that anyone who stuck it out and saw the last 20 seconds, what happens in like the last 20 seconds of the series wasn't there to be cute. I mean, that's a real thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we already started shooting the second season. I mean, people have to remember there's a year and a half that's gone by since we shot Hellier. And so much new information has come to light. So many crazy new things have happened. The way that we've been describing Hellier is a prequel.
And as Dana said, in regards to the town, do you think the town is now going to be more accepting of coming forward because you portrayed them in a very good light? You didn't portray them as strange or weird or just this hick town community where, a bunch of drunken teenagers are out there in the caves running around making up stories. You didn't do that at all. You really kept it professional, and I thought that was very impressive. So with the town being on board, so to speak, by the comments that Dana said, Greg, do you think that at some point there will be a breakthrough with somebody who can maybe lead you to something?
Who's saying that hasn't already happened?
Well, I don't know.
There's only so much I can say. The town, I'll tell you this, the town, the initial response, it was actually we've played our cards so close to the chest. We always do with everything. We never ever gave the name of the town out. We talked about the case. We gave people a general idea that it was, Eastern Kentucky, but we never told anyone the name of the town.
Yeah, we didn't even tell Karl and Connor until they were physically here.
Yeah,
the name of the actual town. It was such like a guarded secret.
We handed them the case files, and it was the first time they saw the town, everything unredacted. And we were so careful with it that even when the first 2 teasers went up, it didn't even have the title. But it was about a week before the title was going to drop in the official trailer. And some residents from town were like, hey, that's the Jiffy Stop. I know that place. And so word spread really fast. And the town, most people from the town were nervous about how they were going to be portrayed and made that very clear to us. And I think we're pleasantly surprised when they actually saw what happened, because they've been very used to people coming into town, exploiting them, and making them look like dumb hillbillies. I mean, they've experienced that. And so after Hellier came out, a lot of the responses we got were super positive. Even the local tourism department reached out to see if there was a way we could work together and maybe bring some more tourism to the town. So it was really well received, and we've gotten so many emails from people from that area, people who used to live in that area. We set up a specific email account, and just been tons of personal accounts coming in. The act of putting Hellier out for free has turned into part of the research. It's turned into part of the case, because now we've got all of these leads that we didn't have when we were there the first time.
Well, and that's got to be great, too, in regards to the fact that the community is now coming around and now helping you. Now they know you're not there to take advantage of them or make fun of them. I think that's absolutely great. I want to get to Renee's second question here. In regards to Dr. David Christie and nobody in the town knowing who he was there, were you surprised that it was a fake email, number one, but number two, what is your feeling in regards to that situation that somebody made up an email to send you this stuff and nobody in the town knows? Because not a lot of people, when they make up a fake email, are going to go by a doctor's name, Dana.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's again, like what we were talking about earlier, it's the idea that you don't have all the information up front. And sometimes when you're doing an investigation, as the case kind of progresses, you learn a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And sometimes years have to go by for you to really get to any kind of conclusion. So, I mean, even for us, we don't really like to kind of come to any conclusion, because at this point in time, we don't have all of the information.
Right. Let's get to Tripp's question here. He is asking in the chat room, did you guys get to talk some of the elder miners, and did they mention any cave paintings?
Actually, yeah, there were, we talked to a lot of miners. Actually, there were a couple old miners that gave us one of the breakthroughs in the case. It's actually one of the really interesting things about, as people watch Hellier, they'll see this. We're pretty certain that the name David Christie isn't a real name, but there's interesting things with these photographs and with the information in the case, because this house, we're pretty sure we found his house and it fits the description. The footprints were actually made in slurry, and we didn't know that. Slurry is a specific type of like a muddy coal substance that comes out of mines that have been sealed when they explode and break out. So all of this slurry comes out, and that's what these miners told us. Oh yeah, that's what those footprints are in. Stuff that we'd never have known ourselves. So there's elements to the case that no matter what, there's a reality behind them. And so we wouldn't know that without the miners. So it was both miners, and we met, people see this in Hellier, a guy who knew a lot of the caves in town. And he specifically talked about one cave where I think there were some paintings that had to do with Chief Cornstalk, who factors into the Mothman Prophecies case as well. They're all over out there. There's all kinds of Native American artifacts in these areas. In fact, one of the places that they wanted to take us was a place where there was an Indian burial ground. People there told us the Native Americans wouldn't settle in the area. They'd go there to hunt, but they knew that the land was not right, and they thought that white people were crazy for settling it.
Well, that always tends to happen. If a First Nations person tells you not to settle in that area, there's probably good reason why.
No, you just build a condo there, right? Isn't that what you do?
Yeah. Yeah. To heck with what they are saying, the spirits and the whatever else is running around the property, the gnomes or trolls or whatever it could be. Yeah, just build it up. What the heck?
Mm-hmm.
What the heck? It's all about prime real estate.
A lot of these people have never seen horror movies before.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Michael has a question here. He is asking, what are your experiences then with psychomantiums? Dana, we'll start with you.
We've actually had quite a bit of experiences kind of working with psychomantiums, and really the idea for creating one, or to create a portable version of one with a museum, really started because we wanted people to be able to have more of a private experience with the dark mirror, which was the mirror that Greg was mentioning earlier. But we've had a lot of different experiences with it. And we recently did an episode of Kindred Spirits where we actually created a psychomantium with a mirror that was in the basement of the Farnsworth house, which is, and it was causing some trouble. So we created, using this giant mirror, and it was actually really integral to kind of cracking that case.
Interesting. Very interesting. When you guys met up with Karl and Connor in Hellyer, how did that come together? How did they get involved with this project?
Well, Karl had that synchronicity, and ever since he'd had that, he kept saying, "Hey, we got to do this. I feel like we're supposed to do this. I feel like I'm being called. Let's do it. Let's do it." And I still had a healthy skepticism about the case, and I'm very much the type of person who my friends make fun of me for it, but I only like to do things that are sure things. And what I mean by that is I like to do projects where there's a fairly predictable outcome. You can sit there and you can go, okay, if this happens, we know that this is going to happen. If this happens, this will happen. If this doesn't happen, well, we'll know how to put bow on it. And as you know, in the paranormal, that doesn't happen very often. This case, I could see no neat, tidy end to it. And so Karl kept pushing and pushing, and I was like, okay, all right, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't predict this. So let's see what's going to happen. And then he and Connor had come out. I hadn't actually really met Connor. I mean, like briefly. They were the resident investigators at the Stanley Hotel in Colorado, which like the coolest job in the world, right? You get to just hang out with the ghosts all day. Like that's your job. So we'd met them before at that, and Karl and I had kept in touch. And so when we had a clear block and we weren't on tour, they came out and they drove out from Colorado, and that was that. We gave them the case files. They were the first people we ever showed the unredacted case files to, and we sat and discussed how we were going to go about it. And then the next day we drove out to Hellier, kind of by the seat of our pants.
That is quite the place and quite the story in regards to getting them involved, because let's face it, there is safety in numbers. There is safety in what you're doing. I mean, looking at the hotel area where you were staying in, I mean, we're not talking 5-star here. And I don't mean that as insulting. I mean, it's a small community. You get what you get in that type of area.
Our budget was also very small.
It was very small,
I should say. It was. I think people would be shocked if they realized how small the budget was. It doesn't look that way, but that's Karl. He did a fantastic job making a masterpiece with nothing.
We're down to our last 90 seconds here before we go to break at the bottom of the hour. In adding Karl and Connor to it, it's always good to go in, like I said, safety in numbers and better options in filming and trying to gain information when you have more eyes available. But were you guys hesitant at all in bringing anybody else into this? Because let's face it, not so much for glory, Greg and Dana will go with you on this one, but more so about the fact that a lot of times you want to take on these cases on your own to see what you find before you start bringing in other people.
Yeah, I think that initially, I mean, this has been a case that we've kept very close to the chest just because we didn't want it to become tainted. And I think it really speaks a lot about Karl and Connor as investigators that there was no hesitation. We knew that they were the right people to kind of go on this adventure with us. And I think that Hellyer is kind of a perfect testament to that. But they were both the people. Like, we just kind of knew they had the integrity. They wanted to create the same project that we did, and they wanted to investigate this for real and not just sort of the way that it can sometimes be portrayed on television.
Yeah, you guys did a real good job at creating that real feeling, really bringing the audience in with you guys. Greg, Dana, I'm going to get you guys to hold on here because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Greg and Dana Newkirk are our guests tonight on Spaced Out Radio. If you haven't checked out the Hellyer series yet on YouTube, you could go to their website as well, Hellier.tv. I highly suggest you do. This is a weird one. You can't hop in halfway through. You got to start it from the beginning. Well worth it, and well worth the time invested. You will enjoy it. More Spaced Out Radio coming up after the break.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi, George Norrie here. Are you ready for UFO MegaCon, the immersion event? 7 days, 8 nights, 50 new speakers, UFO military witnesses, experiencer groups, skywatches, and so much more. Join me at UFO MegaCon, March 24th through the 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only new information conference of the year. Now check it out at UFOMegaCon.com. That's UFOMegaCon.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com. Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
We've passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. As I'm sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters, we're talking Hellyer tonight with Greg Dana Newkirk. Before we bring them on, I want to remind you, you can all go shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store. Pick yourself up a t-shirt, hat, socks, towels, whatever you need. We got it there. Go shopping. Go to our website, spacedoutradio.com. Click on the shop banner and check out what we got. Maybe we got something for you. Greg Dana Newkirk, our guest tonight on the show here, and we're talking Hellyer tonight. And when we left off, Greg Dana, we were talking about how you guys met up with Karl and Connor in Hellyer. And here you guys are hanging on out. You're trying to figure out what's going on, and the town is kind of clamming up on you. But all of a sudden, you start asking a couple of people the right questions, and the next thing you know, you're learning about slurry. You're learning about the effects that was, where the prints were found, these three-toed prints. Now, Greg, when you started putting this, or when you guys all started putting this all together, was there a momentum shift for you guys that eventually led you towards going into the caves?
Well, I think, it was tough. Like I said earlier, doing something that wasn't a sure thing, we didn't really know where everything was going to go. We knew what we thought was going to happen. What we thought was going to happen was we were going to be spending a weekend in some guy's backyard, looking for goblins. Spoiler, that's not what happened. Things got a little crazier than that, and the scope of the investigation changed pretty rapidly, where we realized that this wasn't just goblins. This was something bigger and stranger and weirder than goblins. I think the goal was always to get inside one of the caves or one of the mines. The question was, how are we going to do that safely, and how are we going to do that appropriately? And as it happened, we met this guy serendipitously who knew a lot about the caves in the area. All the miners that we talked to were, they said, do not go in the caves. Stay out of the caves, or stay out of the mines. They're very dangerous. Don't go messing around in there. You're going to get hurt. You can even be killed by invisible gas and not know there's anything wrong. So the miners didn't want us going in any of the mines, but there was a guy who knew a lot about caves, and he gave us a bunch of different options. There was one that he talked about where there was a 3-toed footprint discovered many, many years ago and studied by a university. So that was one of the options, and then he gave us another option that was an old carved out piece of this big mountain that actually connected to a bunch of natural caves. So it was always the goal to get to a cave. Obviously for the fact that what we were looking for was coming out of these entrances in the ground.
What exactly, Dana, what you were looking for? What were you looking for up there? Because for a lot of people, we can use our imaginations, but what were you hoping to see?
There's part of us, obviously, that we were hoping to see something that resembled the footprints in the photos, or to resemble something that potentially could have created those types of footprints. But I think it's so hard to describe. I think more than anything, we were kind of wanting to feel something, to feel as if, okay, this feels right. Like, this is definitely the kind of place where something like this could happen.
I think it became clear to us halfway through filming that we weren't going to finish the case. We weren't going to We weren't going to find like the missing key, but we were on the right path. In fact, we thought we were looking for something totally different. So by the time that we'd gotten about halfway through our shoot, we realized we were onto something bigger, and we knew that this wasn't going to be something that we could wrap up in the time that we had allotted to us. So we had to change what we were looking for and how we were looking for it. There were a lot of people I know that were confused by some of the methods that we were using to look for these entities. One of the things that we were using was a lot of stuff that people would normally associate with ghost hunting methods. But I think that shows a lot of the problem with the way that the paranormal is portrayed in the media. Like we talked about earlier in the show, when we think paranormal, we don't think ghosts. Mm-hmm. We don't think Bigfoot. We don't think UFOs. We think of all of that stuff. And we know at this point, we strongly believe, at least, that these things are all connected. So it only made sense to start using some of those methods to look for any kind of entity that might be willing to talk to us about what's going on in these places.
Was there a lot of paranormal activity going on? I do know that you guys were getting rocks thrown at you, which is a Sasquatch trait, in behind the cabin you were staying at. But maybe go over that portion and maybe any paranormal activity you guys were receiving.
We were getting everything. Especially there was a particularly frustrating night where we felt like we were hitting a lot of dead ends, and we'd rented a cabin in the area, and we were all sitting around, and we thought, well, this cabin is on this mountain. It's on the same land that all this stuff is happening. Let's go out into the woods behind the cabin and let's see if we can stir something up and see if we can get some kind of communication happening. And, the first person we turned to was Dana. Dana is a witch, and she's done a lot of stuff, communication altars on investigations that yield a lot of really fantastic results. And so we looked at her and she said, well, let's grab some supplies and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, I mean, we really just wanted to kind of create, it was sort of our way of kind of reaching out and letting whatever was happening in the area know that we were there to communicate. So it was that kind of perfect opportunity for us to sort of engage it sort of on its own terms. So we did a little ritual. We created a communication altar. We were able to sort of reach out and let it know that we wanted to communicate with it. We wanted to have experiences with it. And that night was really interesting because we did experience a lot of things. We were having, bits of coal thrown at us or bits of stone thrown at us. And we were hearing things climbing down a mountain that, is literally on the side of the cabin that no animal could have made down, all the way down. It was very strange. There was a lot. It was a sense as we were all, I think, walked away from that experience feeling very much as if it was acknowledging us.
And there's one of those same details about all of these things being connected. One of the things that we are always thinking about is when you start to look at these different cases, sometimes it just depends on what lens you're viewing something through. So, for example, there's Bigfoot hunters who are constantly talking about experiences with Bigfoot that are invisible, and they think that they're using some infrasound to make themselves invisible, right?
Yes.
And they're banging on the side of the house, and you can't see them. Well, that to me, as a person who grew up ghost hunting, that sounds like a poltergeist to me. They're invisible. They can still leave footprints. They can still leave handprints. They're banging on stuff. That sounds like a poltergeist. But if you talk to an old ufologist, they'll talk about the invos, which were a very common thing that experiencers went through, where they were these invisible creatures that they thought were extraterrestrials walking through their houses, banging on the side of the house. It's very much the same stuff. It just depends on the lens you view it through. So we were experiencing activity, and I really do believe that activity was connected to the case that we were investigating. Just because we didn't we weren't in a mine with an automatic weapon gunning down goblins doesn't mean we weren't still having some sort of a communication with them.
Well, I can tell you this, going into a cave where there is potential goblins or aliens hiding out is never a safe thing to do. But and the reason why I bring that up, guys, is I had something similar happen, not in a cave, but in my property. And in episode 4, you guys are standing in the caves and you are talking about this clicking type of experience that you heard. And I'll tell you, the goosebumps immediately went all over my body because I have had that type of clicking communication in my own yard. It happened on October 27th, 2017, after the show. It was about 1 a.m. here on the West Coast. And I have about a half an acre of property, just over half an acre, and my driveway stretches about halfway along that. In my front yard, I got some pretty big trees, and there was clicking happening up in my front yard and in my backyard as well, like a conversation was going on. So when I heard that clicking going on that you guys were experiencing, I absolutely was mortified because I haven't talked to too many people who've said, we heard some type sound. Tell me about what led up to that event, Dana.
So we wanted to find a place that, like we were mentioning earlier, that felt right. And this specific cave felt right. It felt like the right place to be. And, one of the things that I think we all learned a lot specifically on this shoot, and it's funny because we don't all come from this place. So Connor and Karl, they're very kind of grounded people. Connor specifically is very grounded. It's very hard for him to push him into certain places that are kind of outside of his comfort zone. And so, but by the end of this shoot, we were all trusting our intuition. We were trusting that feeling was leading us, in a certain direction. So when it came to that cave specifically, we were all on board. We felt, yes, this is the one that we were supposed to be at. And, and then again, like entering it and kind of engaging with what was in the cave and in the land. When we started to have things responding to us, at that point we were all very much, convinced that we had chosen the right location and that whatever was going on in this area was, again, directly communicating with us.
Have you ever heard that type of clicking communication before, Greg?
Oh, no, never. No. I mean, not outside of Signs, like the movie Signs, you know what I mean?
I know. Yeah.
No, which that's even, a little uncomfortable because that's one of the scariest movies I ever saw as a kid.
Yeah. And I know that in my case with that clicking sound in my yard, that comes back to our little alien friend Karl, who originally showed up here on April 20th, 2015, when I was doing a show on this topic of Buddha of all topics with Harvey Kraft as my guest. And I saw something move out of the corner of my eye. I thought we actually had company coming over. I swiveled my chair and looked out the window to see who it was. And I'm staring into the face of an alien gray about 7 feet away from me. So I did what any man would do. I screeched and I damn near fell off my chair. And then by the time I got, in that split second where I looked again to see if I actually saw what I saw, it was gone. And I would have seen it run off in any direction. I would have seen it run off, and it was just gone. And I hadn't had an experience with Karl. And you know what I'm saying, Dana, because you're quite intuitive, and people who are intuitive or have had experiences out there, you immediately recognize the energy pattern. Once you've had an experience, that energy pattern, it's like etched in your mind. You totally remember what that is, what that feeling is, and if you get that feeling again, you know it's there. And then on October 27th, 2017, when all of a sudden I started having that clicking, I'm like, holy cow, Karl's back. And I called my ET guy, our Keith Andrews, up, and I'm like, dude, I got some stuff happening here. And he's like, by the way, have you heard of any noises, like clicking type sounds? And I'm like, yeah. And he's never been to my house, doesn't even know where I live. And here he's saying, by the way, have you heard any strange noises? So, yes, that clicking sound totally blew my mind in regards to it. With that clicking sound, you guys had some paranormal equipment up there with you. What was happening to your equipment in the caves? Were you actually getting it to work? Were batteries draining? Greg?
We didn't really rely a whole lot on most of the equipment. We sort of get to this. I mean, you can ask anybody who's done it long enough, and they just kind of start to rely more on their intuition, and they've got a few key things that they use. So we had the stuff out, but frankly, with the stuff that was going on, doing the Gansfeld session in there, or Connor doing the Estes Method session in there, we were so focused on that and the information that was being delivered out of those that the blinking lights weren't quite as interesting to us. Karl and Connor have developed this really amazing method of communication that they call the Estes Method, based off of Estes Park, Colorado, where the Stanley Hotel was, where they developed this. And it makes use of sensory deprivation methods and parapsychological methods, along with some old school ghost hunting tools like the SB7 Spirit Box. And it basically turns somebody into a receiver. We sometimes argue with each other about how we think it's working. I think that there's a pretty strong, hefty psychic element to it. And I think that what it does is it puts someone in a bit of a trance and makes them a medium. It's proven to be really spectacular on investigations, especially during Hellyer. Some of the craziest stuff I've seen come out of the Estes Method was in Hellyer. And there was stuff that was coming out, the words that come out of the medium, of the receiver, that we didn't think were important at the time started to become more and more important. I mean, there were elements where Connor, who can't see us, he can't hear us, is saying things that are going to happen within the next few seconds. Like he's seeing the future, hearing the future. That to me was absolutely stunning. So I couldn't be bothered to look at a K2 meter or an EMF meter because I'm watching someone tell me the future.
That had to be pretty incredible. And, we use an SB7 on our tour up here that we do at the local museum to raise money for it. And I'd never seen that type of how can we put it, type of communication happen with an SB7 in regards to the ghost box. If people are wondering what an SB7 is, it's a ghost box where allegedly you use the radio signal and the white noise, and behind it you listen for voices. And so what was happening was Connor, who was using this, he had his eyes blacked out with some sort of like nightcap kind of thing. And his
eyebrow, he calls it.
We always call it his eyebrow.
Or his eyebrow. Yeah, that works too. And then he had noise canceling headphones on, so that way
they're
there
not
could be
noise canceling.
No,
I have to make this very clear. This is a very important thing. These are specifically drummers' headphones, so they're actually noise isolating. Because if you use noise canceling, you might actually miss some of the stuff that comes through.
Right.
So it's always a big deal because the way that Connor figured these out was he's a drummer. He's a drummer for a Colorado-based punk band, the Ghoulies, and he suggested, well, these things block 20 decibels of noise, so we should use these. So they're the very specific kind of earphones because they help rule out any kind of fraud.
Yeah.
Because you can't hear anything, especially when there's the radio pumping through them.
Very interesting. I didn't know that. At all. But, I mean, the way it was happening and you guys answering the questions, because that was obviously filmed in real time. Mm-hmm. And before you even get your questions out, Connor was already answering them.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was one scene where he's like, to the right or something along those lines, and then all of a sudden there's noise in the bushes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was he was legitimately, telling us what was going to happen in what direction, 5 seconds before it was actually happening. And he did it consistently for an extended period of time, which is unbelievable because that's what you're looking for when you're doing the Estes method. You're looking for things that they're not just coincidence. They're when you're having someone repeat the same thing, like to the left sound, and then 5 seconds later sound to the left, and then to the left further sound, and he's able to kind of tell us these things when these things are going to happen, like right before they're going to happen.
I should note that we hate ghost boxes. I mean
it's very easy to look at them and to listen to them in a group and it kind of feels kind of hokey. It's sometimes, you can see people forcing.
There's loads of confirmation bias.
Yeah.
And there's when you're with a group of people, you can hear something and one person says, oh, here's what I heard. And everyone just kind of goes along with it.
Yeah. It's very easy to kind of fall into that.
What's so great about the Estes method is the fact that you don't get that. You have one person who's the receiver. And so, the fact that they can't hear the questions that you're asking, when they start to spit stuff out, to me, that is far more stunning than a ghost box that's running in a room where anyone can say, well, this is what I heard, and then everyone can agree.
And the cool thing about the Estes method, too, is anybody can do it. You don't have to have any kind of psychic ability. You don't have to even really believe in that whatsoever. Anyone can do it. You just need to have again, the proper kind of equipment and someone there with you who can be the transmitter and the receiver.
I still think it works better if you have somebody who's psychic on the other end.
I mean, that's definitely, it's definitely a bonus, but I think that anyone can at least try it.
Well, I'm definitely going to be jerry-rigging something up for our ghost tours that we do up here at our museum that starts in April, because I'll tell you, I have zero luck with the SB7. My buddy Mark, who does the tours with us, his wife Hib and Tara join us, and when we take tours, Mark is very lucky on the SB7, very lucky, and so I just give it to him. I'm like, you use it, on the tours. It's useless to me. But nonetheless, Greg and Dana, I'm going to get you to hold on. We're going to hop out for a break at the top of the hour. Greg and Dana Newkirk are our guests tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We are talking Hellyer. Yes, if you haven't seen the 5-part series so far, you are missing out. It's a lot of fun. It's very entertaining, and it'll keep you at the edge of your seats. Hellier.tv. Coming up, how did John Tenney get involved with this? And your questions as well on Spaced Out Radio.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Hi, George Norrie here. Are you ready for UFO MegaCon, the immersion event? 7 days, 8 nights, 50 new speakers, UFO military witnesses, experiencer groups, skywatches, and so much more. Join me at UFO MegaCon, March 24th through the 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only new information conference of the year. Now check it out at UFOMegaCon.com. That's UFOMegaCon.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social media freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social media freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the program, Dr. Robert Gross is here. We're going to talk the Kecksburg UFO incident. 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern is when we get going at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in on our affiliates, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California. Good to have you with us. Week number 2, we are on the air with you. 99.1 FM, WQEE in Noonan, Georgia. Thank you so much for tuning on in, as well as 107.7 FM, UPRN in New Orleans, Louisiana, and of course our digital tracks of Revolution Radio and Deep Talk Radio. Good to have you all with us. Don't forget, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Optophobia. Optophobia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, go shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store. because you'd look good in our swag. And, of course, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire as well. For the final time tonight, we introduce Greg and Dana Newkirk. It's their first time on this show. I've been bugging them for a couple of years. We finally made it happen, all because of Hellyer. If you haven't seen Hellyer, go to Hellyer.tv. Hellyer.tv. Once again, you can find it on YouTube as well. What a great series. And welcome back, Greg and Dana. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
We're having a blast, Dave.
Thank you for having us.
I want to ask you about John Tenney. We talked about him right in the first little bit of the show, and he is a very, very big fan of what we do here, and we are even bigger fans of his work. Why did you guys decide to, in episode 5, get a hold of him? What was the reasoning behind that?
We knew he'd be awake.
That's part of
That's
it.
half the reason. It was like 3 a.m. Like, how many of your friends do you know are going to be awake at 3 a.m?
It's guaranteed that Tenny will be awake
to take a call about goblins. Tenny, in a lot of ways, he's our pops. he's a guy who knows a lot about a lot. And when we were sitting there on the porch that one night, kind of frustrated about how the case was going, feeling like we were going a little crazy, he was the first person I thought of to call. He's got a really long history in the field and have to tell us. And he said exactly what we expected. Well, I've been through a situation like this. I know a lot of people who've been through situations like this, and there's times when I know that I have to step back, and I can't be part of this.
It was nice having someone kind of put it into perspective for us, because I think at that point we were way too in it to be able to kind of have a grounded view of what was happening. And Tenny was kind of, in that moment, a bit of a lifeline for all of us. He was, we were out to sea, and he was sort of the guy kind of reeling us back in a little bit and reminding us that, stay grounded. But when you're dealing with the subject matter, it's so bizarre and it can get so strange, and it's strange and bizarre on purpose. And part of it is a bit of a manipulation tactic. So it's really good to have someone who can remind you to stay grounded and to not get too lost in the phenomena and in the investigation itself. And he was really that for us in that moment, and helped us all kind of put it into perspective.
A nice anchor.
He was a great anchor.
Yeah, he's kind of that calming voice that could bring some perspective to it, because, if there's anybody who's experienced it, it's John.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, he added a lot of context. And one of the things that we found more true, especially now, a year and a half later, is that a lot of the stuff that we were experiencing then might not make sense on a linear timeline, and that really resonated, and now it makes even more sense. So yeah, Tenny's the guy we've got on speed dial.
Yeah, you definitely have to have him on speed dial, and good on you for bringing him in on that, because like I said, if there's a question that needs answered that's strange and weird, he's the guy to go to. I do want to ask, in regards to you guys kind of nosing around Hellyer and knowing the way people were talking, at any time did you have any effects of police or government officials kind of coming in around you to say, what are you doing around here? Why are you poking your nose into this town's business? You don't need to be here.
It was so funny because, for us, for this investigation, it's kind of what we do a lot of the times, especially when we go to towns and places that, we don't obviously live in. The first thing that we do is we talk to the local police department. We talk to the local newspaper. We talk to anyone who will talk to us. But we specifically kind of will talk to police in the area, and we could not get anyone to return a phone call. And we called them all day. for hours.
Like how weird is that to call a police station multiple times and get a machine?
Yeah, and I mean we went about different ways of trying to get them to respond to us. At first, we weren't saying that we were paranormal investigators because we thought, okay, well, maybe that'll make them not want to talk to us. And then we kind of did at one point say, yeah, we're here looking into the paranormal in the area, but we could not get anyone to respond to us. It was like that in and of itself was very, very bizarre.
Very weird.
Oh, it sounds like the creeping up to a horror movie. Honestly, it really does.
Well, there was also this weird element too, where a lot of the people from the town said the police never come out here.
Yeah.
They don't take us seriously. They don't want anything to do with it. Even the newspaper calling them, because there's two places in any town. It's any paranormal investigator will tell you, the police. They know all the weird calls. They know where all the weird stuff happens.
Yeah, they're an amazing resource for you if you're a paranormal investigator.
And most of them, their jobs are pretty boring most of the time, so they're more than willing to like get weird with you. Them and the local news, like they'll know the weirdest stuff, and we couldn't get anything from any of them. They just shut us down, or just we couldn't get a hold of them. Strange.
Interesting. Well, I want to get to some audience questions here because they are piled up. And if I miss your questions, I do apologize to our audience because they're literally stacked upon each other. Let's go to Uncle Dale right off the bat here. And Uncle Dale is asking, in the area of Hellyer, is there livestock or farms in that area where the weird stuff is happening?
We didn't notice any,
not that
honestly.
I mean, I think kind of randomly as you're kind of creeping up towards Hellyer, there'll be some farms, but really there wasn't like a cattle. It's Hellyer is it's a holler. So you're up in the mountains. It's very hilly. It's very vine covered. It's not flat.
It's very rugged.
Yeah. It's tough. Tough.
There's a lot of strip mining, a lot of old abandoned mines. I don't think a lot of agriculture going on there.
All right, let's move on to Reverend Keith here. And he is asking, he's got a couple questions here. First off, do you feel, and Dana, we'll go with you on this one, do you feel the various weirdness you experienced was just a diversion?
Ooh. I mean, so one of the things, I mean, and we talk about it in Hellyer is a sense of kind of being toyed with a little bit. And I think that that's part of the phenomena. I think you get pieces of information that aren't true, but that in and of itself is evidence that the phenomena is engaging with you. So that's where, again, in that moment where we talked to Tenny, where we were just spun. We've been going in every direction, and we needed someone to ground us and remind us to like calm down and keep our stuff together. But yeah, I think that in some cases that some of it isn't necessarily true, but I don't think that it's, I still believe that it is the phenomena engaging with you.
All right. Second question from Keith. Wondering if you guys have thought of taking your ghost box method one step farther by keeping the person receiving the radio signal isolated from the group, film each group, and then compare results.
I'll tell you what, that is a question that you should re-ask when you have Karl on. Karl
Definitely.
and Connor have done so many different versions of the Estes Method.
They have all sorts of fun, different variations on it.
And I think that that's something that they've tried before. They've done it in two different locations, where the receiver's in a completely different location and the questioner's at a completely different location. So, yeah, I would get into the Estes Method pretty heavy when you have Karl on, because he'll have a lot more detail than we will.
Definitely. Let's get to Gene. Gene is asking, could you guys share some of the details about the alien abduction experiment you conducted and what you two experienced?
Number one, why? Who knows about that? That's pretty old. And number two, no, I can't.
Oh, come on. Who hasn't been taken among us friends here? Who hasn't been taken? Show of hands.
I will tell you this much. There was an experiment, a very frightening experiment that we tried many years ago. It was actually during the Planet Weird shoot back in 2013, where we performed something I'm fairly certain no one's ever done before. And we got a friend of ours abducted by aliens. It didn't happen at Brown Mountain. But yeah, it was really scary. Legitimately one of the scariest things I've ever seen. One of the scariest things I've ever been part of. Yeah. You might see that someday, eventually.
Yeah. Well, if we're ever together, I would give you permission to try that with me.
You say that now, but I've seen the aftermath, my friend. It is not pretty.
You might want to wait a little bit.
Well, I've been taken, as far as I know, for sure, maybe 5 times.
Oh,
that's terrifying.
Do you remember them?
Oh yeah. Ooh. Yeah, I remember a couple of them very, very well. Very, very well. And,
well, what do you need us for? You don't need us. You already got the switch.
Because my alien boy Karl owes me a flight. And I want to try and get a hold of him, all right? Because I'm getting sick and tired of saying, hey, where's my flight? I want to go on a ride.
You want to go and look in his windows.
Well, no, honestly, this is truthful. I am so sick and tired of being taken at night when I'm sleeping. Okay. I want to walk on that ship. I've seen a UFO on the ground. All right. I've been face to face with extraterrestrials while I'm awake. None of this dream stuff or potential sleeping stuff where it could be a dream or a nightmare or even something lucid. I want that experience of where I walk onto that ship a la Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's what I want.
That would be awesome. That would be amazing.
Yeah, none of this
I don't think they normally work out that way though. Aren't they normally like terrifying trips where you get probed and tortured?
Not usually.
Really?
Not usually. I actually had a phone call out of the blue the other day, and I'm not going to say where it came from, but Melinda Leslie, who is a UFO researcher out of Sedona, Arizona, gave this person my phone number. And all of a sudden, it's like, you don't know me, but I need some help. I need a hypnotherapist. It was a person in Canada, and they were asking if I knew of a hypnotherapist in a certain city that could help them, because literally this person was telling me that they had just been taken recently, like within the last week, and they were given controls to the spaceship and said, fly it.
Oh, God, really?
Wow.
Yeah. And this person was tripping right out and couldn't remember the full details of it, but wants to bring it back.
That would be fascinating to listen to.
That's what I want. Yeah. So I'm game for that experiment. I will volunteer for that. Let's continue with the questions here. Cynthia on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio is asking, have you ever refused to accept an object that was offered to you? If so, why? And what was it?
We've never really refused an object. The only times we've had to really say no would be, we have a lot of and it happens not often, but every once in a while, we have someone who wants to kind of lend us an object or have us investigate an object for a period of time and then return it. And like Greg had mentioned earlier in the show, we've learned the hard way, a few times, and really at this point it's just for our rules are that if you're going to donate an object to the museum, it has to stay in the museum. So I think that's really the only time that we've ever kind of had to turn something down. And in those cases, your red flags are flying anyway, because you know that probably they're probably not haunted. They're probably just someone who's trying to get them a little bit of publicity.
We had a guy a few months ago who tried to lease us a haunted object.
Yeah.
He sent us a really creepy Polaroid of it.
Polaroid,
it's like a full size lady doll.
It's
might have been his girlfriend. I don't know.
Possibly could have.
He wanted to lease it to us, and we said no thanks.
Yeah. I don't blame you on that. I really do not blame you on that. Trip is asking, were there any signs or stories of skinwalkers in the area of Hellyer?
Not that we dug up specifically, but the interesting thing about Hellyer, and people will see this in the series, as we continued to investigate stories in this area and around this area, we started to notice that there was a pretty vast number of similar type stories. The first one that obviously came to mind was the Kentucky Goblin incident in Hopkinsville in 1955.
Yes.
But because there's such a large swath of land between, where that happened and Hellyer, completely different sides of the state, we'd never realized, how would those things match up until we started to notice that a lot of these sightings took place over the Mammoth Cave system. The Mammoth Cave system runs the entirety of Kentucky and stretches up into the Appalachians. And then we realized, oh, wow, it's the biggest cave system in the world. A lot of it's still unexplored. It's all connected. And people have been experiencing similar stuff, just giving it different names for hundreds of years all along this range. And so there might be things that are similar to the Skinwalker. They're just being called different things.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we noticed when we really started to dig in and look into possible other kind of goblin cases is that you, like Greg had mentioned, you find a lot of very similar cases and a lot of people having very similar experiences, but just regionally they refer to them as different things. So in some places they're goblins, in some places they call them holler goblins, some of them call them Tommyknockers. It really just depends on where you are. And it's really just the name that changes, but the activity and the experiences that people are having are pretty much spot on.
We have about 5 minutes left with you guys tonight, and Greg and Dana, this has absolutely flown on by, and I hate it when shows like this do that because this could literally continue for hours upon hours, but unfortunately, on live radio, there is a time limit with us. At this point, you have teased that there is going to be a second series of Hellyer. How will that work out comparatively to the first series of 5 episodes?
I mean, we've already, we're very early into that process. But I think, Karl's even said this could be a little bit bigger, a little bit longer. I think I can say confidently that a lot of the dangling threads are explored. And I think people are going to be absolutely shocked when they see what happened after the first season. The stuff that happens is... if people were on the fence about how they felt, I think they will very easily make up their minds when they see what happened after Rewrapped.
Well, I can tell you this. I am waiting for it, and I know many other people are as well. You've really captivated a lot of attention with this. Do you guys, and Dana, we'll start with you on this one, do you ever see an end to this story? Because when you go down a rabbit hole like this, there are so many different avenues that you can take. You can't just focus on one. And we saw that in the first 5 episodes. Do you see this story ever coming to an end?
I honestly don't really. I mean, what's fascinating about it is it all connects. And, every time we feel as if we've kind of closed a chapter and it bleeds into the next one. And it feels as if it's, it's so large. It's such a large concept and it's such a large investigation at this point that I don't think that we could ever really kind of finish it. So, I mean, we probably will be making seasons for as long as we can. And there's something that we've talked about many times, specifically in our group, but, the phenomena is much bigger than we are, and we're just part of it right now. And we're telling the story right now, but it'll be passed down to a next generation of people, that will be reading John Keel and will be reading,
watching Hellyer, and eventually this story will pass on to another group of people. And I think that that's just kind of the way that it goes.
As far as you guys can, though, you're going to continue this investigation because I tell you, I see this going in a bunch of different realms, including Bigfoot, UFOs, aliens, abduction, government officials in black ties coming up to you, saying you shouldn't be here. It has the possibilities for so much to happen here in the next little bit. And I'm excited for you guys. I really am. I think you're on to something very, very large here. And I hope you get what you need. I really do, guys, because this is the type of story that many of us in this field have been waiting for. And the possibilities are endless, Greg.
I don't think we have much of a choice. I mean, it really does feel that way.
Yeah.
Every time we think we're done, something pulls us back in. I think that there's kind of an eerie aspect to Hellier where it really feels like we're making it on behalf of the phenomena. And it's a scary thing to say, but that's certainly how it feels. And I think people are going to really, if they don't feel that through the first season, I think they'll start to understand very quickly in the second.
Well, we had a really good time with you guys tonight, Greg and Dana, and we'd love to have you back on when the second series of Hellier comes out. And do me a favor, let our audience know where they can find information about you guys and on Hellier.
Well, if people are curious about the work that we do with the museum, they can go to paramuseum.com, and there's tour dates there so they can see us. We're all across the country all year long. If they're curious about Hellier, they can go to hellier.tv, and that'll give them links to watch it on YouTube, Vimeo. It's even streaming on Amazon Prime. So you can turn it on your TV and watch it just like you would any other show. And then if they've got...
And there's a big push for Netflix as well from the audience as well.
Yeah,
hey,
that's great.
Everyone harass Netflix because if we can make this with that small of a budget, imagine what Karl can do with a Netflix budget. So harass them. Tell them to get it as an original. That's what we want.
Absolutely. Greg and Dana Newkirk, thank you so much for being on Spaced Out Radio tonight. What an absolute pleasure to have both of you on the show. We're going to do it again. We have to, because as long as you're doing Hellier, we're going to need updates on the mighty SOR. Thank you so much. Coming up next, Olaf Phillips and the SOR Newswire.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hi, George Norrie here. Are you ready for UFO MegaCon, the immersion event? 7 days, 8 nights, 50 new speakers, UFO military witnesses, experiencer groups, skywatches, and so much more. Join me at UFO MegaCon, March 24th through the 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only new information conference of the year. Now check it out at UFOMegaCon.com. That's UFOMegaCon.com.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night. Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plate amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. And at this time of the night, we finish off the show strong with the SOR Newswire, talking about the weird, the wacky, the WTF in the news of the day. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show. You can go to our website, spacedoutradio.com, click on the news tab. Captain Shirk has you all set up with the news of the day, and bringing us the news live on the show is the man, the myth, the Paranoia Magazine legend, editor from paranoiamagazine.com, Mr. Olaf Phillips.
Greetings and salutations, Dave.
Good to have you with us, my friend. How was your weekend?
Busy but good.
Excellent.
Busy but good. Yeah.
Excellent. We had a good one here, too. And, you know, we just had a Dana and Greg Newkirk on the show talking about their new series called Hellyer. I'm not sure if you've had an opportunity to catch it, but if you do, Olaf, it is very worth it. Very worth it. And the good news is we found out that they're actually going to be making a series number 2 of this, because the game isn't over just yet.
Is it ever, Dave?
I don't know. I mean, you hope one day that it ends with some answers, but it never seems to.
Well, you know, it almost did. Once upon a time. There was a thing called Cosmic Journey. The guy named Bob Oshler. That what Oshler was entangled in was supposedly a disclosure event. But,
oh, really?
Yeah, but it got canceled. Probably thanks to Oshler, actually.
Well, you know what? It was something that eventually we are going to have to find out, man. We're going to have to find out. Glad you had a fantastic weekend, my friend. What do you got for us in the news tonight?
Wildlife Center will name salmon for your ex and then feed it to a bear. They call it catch and release. The Wildlife Images Rehabilitation and Education Center name a salmon after your ex and let our bears provide some closure. And Oregon Wildlife Center is offering a fresh twist on Valentine's Day naming promotions, allowing patrons to name a salmon after an ex and have it fed to a bear. The Wildlife Images... Go ahead. The Wildlife Images Rehabilitation Center in Oregon said the catch and release promotion offers a unique Valentine's Day gift in exchange for $20. The center said patrons can pay to have a salmon named after an ex-lover, and the salmon will be served to the brown bears Cody and Yaki. Wildlife Images said the $20 package includes a special certificate and photos of the bears eating the salmon.
You know, this reminds me of the cockroach story we had a couple of weeks ago, where they were naming a cockroach after, you could name the cockroach after your ex, you know, in a way to get back at them at the zoo. And I think it's great marketing. I really, really do.
Oh, I think they'll sell a bunch of them.
What a great way to raise money. Honestly, it is, especially around Valentine's. And, you know, the creative people who thought about these plans, good for you. Absolutely. Yeah. I hope you go and make a couple $1,000, if not more, off of this, because, you know, it's needed to take care of the animals.
And the bears are going to eat anyway.
Exactly. But here's the thing. You know, I wonder about karma.
Yeah.
You know, at some point, where does karma come into play? Because I know if I named a fish after my ex-wife that was going to be eaten by a bear, I'm pretty sure that within the next year, I'd be walking in the forest here and Sasquatch is going to be saying, "Hey, Big Dave, come with me." You know what I'm saying?
I totally hear you.
Yeah. And I'll never be seen again. I just don't trust karma that way. You know? And all I'm going to say...
I wouldn't do it personally, but I think it's hilarious.
Now, if I could buy that fish for my ex-mother-in-law, I would do that. I would do that. You know,
well, I think they're agnostic as to what you name it.
Well, you know, that might be a good $20 then, my friend. That might be a good $20 spent then. So we're gonna have to check that out. If I could name it after my ex-mother-in-law, I'm going there. I will go there. You know.
Now,
what do you got for us next?
This next one, if you think about it, it could be a little disturbing.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Chimpanzees create makeshift ladder to escape the zoo enclosure. A group of chimpanzees use tree branches to break out of their enclosure at a zoo in Northern Ireland on Saturday. The chimps appear to use storm-damaged branches to create a makeshift ladder to scale the walls of the enclosure, the Guardian reported. Zoo visitors captured the video of the caper as at least one chimp emerged from the bushes near the enclosure into a path, and the others sat near the top of the enclosure. "Don't escape, you bad little gorilla," a child could be heard saying on the video. The other chimps remained in trees on the wall of the enclosure, while some zoo guests were shocked by the sight. "I was petrified, obviously having the kids, and I tried not to show fear. But inside I was like, what happens if it attacks us or tries to take the kids and run over?" Zoo guest Danielle Monahan told the BBC, "We just had to stay calm." Monahan captured film of the encounter and said she would never forget how smart chimpanzees escaped the enclosure. Chantal Baxter, another zoo visitor, said her youngest child shouted at one of the chimps when it appeared before them. I think she scared it and did It did sort of make its way back up the hill," Baxter said. She added that it was easy to think that it was funny after the encounter, but that the experience was still quite dangerous. Zoo employee Alan Cairns said the chimps were quite cowardly and returned to their enclosure on their own. They're intelligent primates, and they're not supposed to be out of their enclosure, so they got themselves back in. Now, I just want to remind people that they are quite intelligent.
Yes.
And that's tool usage. That's a hallmark of evolutionary development.
I'm going to tell you something, that while you were reading that story, something moved out my window.
Uh-oh.
Something small.
Really?
Moved out my window. I caught a brisk glimpse of it. I don't know what it is.
You need a cam, Dave.
I know. I know. Now, the studio is at ground level.
Might be getting a visitor, Dave.
I don't know. It feels it's definitely not Karl, but it feels kind of weird around here right now. Feels kind of weird all of a sudden. It was short. Oh. I'm wondering if it was a gnome, man. A snow gnome. Because I am one with the gnomes right now. No, I'm serious. I got a little bit of the heebie-jeebies right now. I totally do.
Well, sure. There's something small running around in your yard. I think that would give me the heebie-jeebies too.
Yeah. In regards to these monkeys or these gorillas or whatever they are, I mean, they are a bright creature, or chimpanzees. I don't even think they should be in the enclosure. I'm a firm believer they should be in the wild, but I mean, that's just me there personally in regards to it. But, I mean, sorry, I thought I heard a sound. Yeah, totally makes. I'm rattled right now. I'm a little rattled right now. I am.
Are you going to go to the
All
window?
All right, I'm going to watch the window, and you give us another story here. How about that?
Okay. Florida man steals weapons, posts photos of them on Snapchat, deputies say. Now I'm going to Zephyrhills, Florida. The Pasco County Sheriff's Office didn't have a hard time tracking down a recent burglary suspect. In fact, the alleged gun thief made the job pretty easy for them, posting a video of stolen guns on social media just hours after the crime. 23-year-old Stephen Jeffcott is in the Pasco County Jail facing felony charges of armed burglary and firearm theft. The break-in happened February 4th. He might have gotten away with the crime if it had not been for his affinity for Snapchat and a woman who quickly recorded what she saw. Last Sunday, Sarah Greer was scrolling through Snapchat when a video caught her attention. She didn't know what it was, but knew it wasn't good. We'd had someone shoot at our cows before, Greer said. The video pops up, and the kid is shooting at a pasture, and I'm like, well, how stupid can you be? You're posting on Snapchat. So she recorded it and then posted it on Facebook. To warn the community, we have a guy out there shooting at animals, shooting at people's houses, Greer said. Little did she know, just hours before, there had been a break-in on Lynbrook Drive at Zephyrillis. He broke into a house, stole 3 weapons and a watch, said Pasco County Sheriff's Office Community Relations Director Kevin Dahl. Less than 4 hours later, he posted him with some of the weapons on social media. The victim saw the images and called the sheriff's office. He knew once he saw the weapons on social media that they very well were his weapons, Dahl said. On February 9th, deputies arrested 23-year-old Stephen Jeffcott on armed burglary and firearm theft charges. He's no stranger to the law. In 2016, he was dubbed the Baloney Bandit for breaking into a home, helping himself to lunch meat in the fridge, and then taking a nap. We covered that.
I remember that story.
Yeah.
Well,
Greer
good to have him back.
Greer never expected his video would lead to an arrest. You do a crime, you do something stupid, you're going to get caught, Greer said. You got to own up to it. I mean, he might have been your friend, but your friend got himself in the situation. Moral of the story, if you commit a crime and post it on Facebook, your profile pic will become a mugshot and your face will be booked right into jail.
How many times have we seen that happen? Seriously. Where these stupid criminals go and post what they've done on Facebook or Snapchat or Twitter or, Pinterest or Instagram. It's ridiculous how much this happens, Olaf.
Well,
it really is.
The guy's waving around an MP5. It's like, okay, guys, not smart.
No, nothing smart about that whatsoever.
Not smart.
No.
I guess the zombie apocalypse.
Could be. Maybe he's ready for Zombieland Part 2 or Hellier Part 2. I think that's what it is. Very cool. Let's get to the thought of the day, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right.
Watch the window.
I am. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Twitter and Facebook pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. So today's Thought of the Dave is as followed. Which investigator would you choose to help solve your paranormal supernatural mystery, and why? I've got a bunch of them. My list: John Tenney, David Weatherly, Ross Allison, Greg Dana Newkirk, Olaf Phillips if it's coming from space.
What?
Exactly. I got a bunch of them. Who would you choose to investigate with you quickly here, man?
Oh, gosh. Weatherly, Nick Redfern.
Yeah, that would be good.
Walter Bosley. I think Walter would be at the top of my list. Hard to say. Ron Patton, if it had anything to do with mind control.
Cool. Very cool.
Chris Reeves.
Superman, cool.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right.
I think that's about it for now. I'll think of more later.
Well, let's get to what our audience says. Debbie says, myself. Done it all myself all my life, so why stop now? John, Robert C. Bellick, the author of Ghosts and More Eerie Encounters. One of the stories in that book concerns an old farmhouse my family and I lived in during the early mid-1980s. Robert is a man with a great wealth of knowledge, given the many cases of ghosts and hauntings he has written about over the years. Let's see. Steve says, Scooby-Doo.
Shaggy. Got to get Shaggy in there.
Yes.
And Velma. Gotta have Velma.
Yes. I don't know. I mean, if we got the Sarah Michelle Gellar type Daphne, I'm okay with that.
Velma.
All right. Sean says me. Not me as in Dave, but me as in himself, unless Scooby-Doo is available. Joe, Jessica Alba. Why? Any excuse to be alone with her in the dark is okay with me. Keith, Reverend Keith. Dr. Michael Heiser. He is not a paranormal supernatural investigator. However, he is a biblical scholar that has written extensively on the supernatural. He would approach the event from a faith-based perspective, and we both have a similar world view. James, my Smith & Wesson model 1911A. And if that doesn't work, Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo's leading the way right now.
I think so.
All right. Kevin, I have come to the conclusion no matter who you choose as an expert, they often bring their own prejudices. Oftentimes, in order to solve a mystery, they discount several aspects that are crucial to the interpretation of the story. So yeah, just document it on your own. Experts may just make you famous, but to this date, have they solved anything? I can't think of one. The best they can do is say you misidentified it or they believe you. Well, I already believe me. Natasha, I don't need one. I know that old man Johnson down by the cemetery scaring everyone away from the buried treasure. He would have gotten away with it too if it hadn't been for those blasted kids. That's funny.
Scooby-Doo, vote 27.
Exactly.
Velma.
David. Daphne.
Velma.
Okay, that may be tomorrow's thought of the Dave.
Velma.
All right, let's get to David. The priest from The Exorcist. If he can deal with that, yeah, he could pretty much handle anything. William, Kevin Randall. Greg says Jessica Fletcher, no ghost is safe. Francesca wants to investigate with Stephen King. Eric Cooper throwing his own Forest Moon Paranormal into the hat. Julie wants Zach and Aaron, not sure if it's for their investigative skills or their looks. All right. Aussie Rob, how's tomorrow looking? Says Sam and Dean Winchester. Neil wants to work with Lorraine Warren. Edie, because she's a Bigfoot huntress. See how I threw in huntress there?
Huntress.
She wants to work with Les Stroud.
Totally. Any excuse to get Les Stroud on the scene.
Exactly. Darn it, is he hard to book for an interview.
But
and
man,
I'm trying to play
it.
I know, but I'm trying to play that Canadian card very, very loudly, and it's not working so far.
He's a cool guy.
Oh, yeah. Renee says Vanessa Hogel would be one of my picks. She is awesome. Not only is she a medium, but she is so funny and a pleasure to listen and talk to. She is a medium and an author and has done many, many paranormal cases. And we'll leave it at that. All right, moving on. Devin wants to work with the amazing Randy. Jennifer says Shaggy, because he also enjoys snack breaks.
420 friendly.
Marty says John Tenney, because he's as gonzo as I am, so we'd get along famously. Aaron says, do they have to be real people? Because I would totally pick Sam and Dean from Supernatural. They are very smart and cute. Uncle Dale gets the last word here. Mike Hammer. The rain was coming to the city. The cleansing rain would wash the filth into the gutters and the gutters into the sewer. He didn't take crap from commies, crypto whatevers, or ghosts. And there was going to be one more ghost tonight because he and Betsy had a date with a killer. Olaf, let everybody know where they could find Paranoia Magazine.
Paranoia Magazine on Facebook, and I will be a contact in the desert. Come visit me. And by the way, I'd let you simulcast it, Dave. And
Sweet.
I would invite Bill Murray.
Nice. Very nice. You can also find all of your news on spacedoutradio.com. Click on the news tab. Captain Shirk takes care of the SOR News Wire. We want to say a big thank you to Greg and Dana Newkirk for coming on in to talk about Hellyer tonight. Go find it on YouTube. You can find it on their website, Hellyer.tv. Well worth the viewing. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Tomorrow night on the show, Dr. Robert Gross joins us to talk about the Kecksburg UFO incident, 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Thanks to everyone listening in at home, in your cars, at work, at our chat rooms, wherever you may be. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thanks for telling your friends, doing your part to make us bigger and better every single night. Because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Good night.